guys. In this video, we are going to talk about solving system of equations word problems. So in solving system of equation word problems, the most important thing we do is we start by identifying what variables we are talking about. Okay? The hardest part about these problems is going to be writing the equations. So we need to make sure we define the variables clearly. Okay, so think about your VES method, right? That VES we talked about when solving word problems. V stands for variable. Well, what are the variables? In a system, remember you have X and Y. So now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be defining both variables. What do they both represent? Okay, that E is an equation. Okay, well now since we have a system, we need two equations. Okay, so you're going to think about the information that is given and relate it to the variables. So total number of items, a total amount of money, or do you have a comparison between the two variables? Okay. Step 3 is we're going to solve the system. That's what that S means. Okay. And then state your solution using a sentence, right? That second S. You have to make sure you use a sentence. We have to know what your answer means. Giving an order pair is not simply enough. Okay. It is a word problem. It has context. It has meaning. You have to tell me what it is. So let's start. A total of 15 tickets were bought by a family to get into an amusement park. Adult tickets cost $35 each, and children tickets cost $20 each. If the family spent $450 on tickets, then how many adult tickets and children tickets did they buy? Okay, so again, we can look at that question and start by defining our variables. That's going to be step 1. Well, notice here we have an X and a Y. So our problem essentially is telling us what X and Y represent. Well, X is going to be the number of adult tickets, and our Y is going to be the number of children's tickets. So our second step is to write the system of equations. So when we're writing this system, okay, what we want to look at is really what are the two quantities we are given. Okay? The first thing we're given is we're given a total cost. Right? We're given a total cost of the tickets and how much each ticket costs. So one equation is going to be relating the cost of each ticket to the total amount the family spends. Okay? The second equation value we're given is actually right up here at the beginning, right? It's that total number of tickets. So our second equation is going to want to relate, okay, well, the total number of tickets. So our total tickets equation. Well, what represents the tickets we buy? Well, that's X and Y individually, right? X represents how many adult tickets, and Y represents the amount of children's tickets. So if we're looking for the total tickets, we're going to add X and Y together, and they have to be equal to how many tickets the family buys. Well, how many tickets does the family buy? 15. So that first equation is X plus Y equals 15. Our second equation is going to talk about the total cost. Okay, well, what is the total cost? The family spends $450 on tickets. Okay, so what that means is our equation is going to have to be equal to $450. Well, how can we use X and Y and the other values we're given in order to equal 450? Well, let's talk about adult tickets. How do we figure out how much we pay just for adult tickets? Well, look here. Adult tickets cost $35 each. So the adult tickets are going to be the $35 each times X, or how many adult tickets that we sell. And we can say the same thing for the children's tickets. Well, they cost $20 a piece, okay, for Y number of tickets. So we have 20Y. So our equation is going to be 35X plus 20Y equals 450. Once we write that system, now we want to solve. Well, it's easiest here to solve using elimination method, okay? Because notice we can easily multiply this top equation by -20, and our y's are going to be additive inverses of each other. So when we multiply by the top equation by -20, We have negative 20x minus 20y equals negative 300. Our second equation stays the same. Add the two equations together. Remember, our y's eliminate each other. Negative 20 plus 35 gives us 15x. Negative 300 plus 450 gives us 150. X is 10 adult tickets when we divide by 15. Remember, we are asked for amount of adult and children's tickets, so we do need to substitute that x back in and solve for y. I suggest you use that top equation. X plus y equals 15 is going to be a very easy equation to solve. 10 plus y equals 15. Subtract 10, you get 5 children's tickets. Last, remember, you have to write a sentence. Okay? So the family bought 10 adult tickets and 5 children's tickets. Make sure you use that sentence to state what you're talking about. Let's look at another example. Okay? Sarah has a pocket full of nickels and dimes. When she counted her money, she had 40 coins and $3 in her pocket. How many of each coin did Sarah have in her pocket? So the first thing we need to do is define those variables. What are the two things we're talking about? Well, notice again, okay, that nickels is x and dimes is y. Since we're asked how many of each coin, our x and y are going to be the number of nickels and the number of dimes. How many of each of those specific coins do we have? Okay, so those are our variables. Next, we want to write our system of equations. So when we write our system, we need to relate the quantities that we have to each other. So what are the two total quantities that we have? Well, we have a total quantity, 40 coins, representing how many coins Sarah has, and we have a total amount of change, or $3 in her pocket. So one equation is going to discuss total coins, one is going to discuss money. So the first one talking about total coins. Well, if we know we have x nickels and y dimes, all we need to do to find the total coins is do x plus y, and that's going to be equal to how many coins she has. Well, she has 40 total coins. And then we can do the same thing with the $3 in her pocket. Except now we have a situation. Well, in the last problem we had how much each ticket were worth. Do we have how much each nickel and dime are worth? Yes, because we know a nickel is 5 cents and a dime is 10 cents. So when we write that second equation, we are going to use those two values. So our total amount of money has to be $3, has to be how much we have in nickels and how much we have in dimes. Well, if each nickel is worth 5 cents, or 0.05, then the amount of money we have in nickels is 0.05x. The same thing for our dimes. If we have y dimes and each dime is 10 cents, then the amount of money we have in dimes is 10 cents times y. So our equation is 0.05x plus 0.10y is equal to 3. That represents the cost in dollars. So we can solve. Again, I suggest you use elimination because it's the easiest setup we have here. We can multiply our top equation by negative 0.05. It's easiest. 5 cents is smaller than 10 cents. So it's the easiest way to go, or x is our first variable in this case. Add our two equations. We get 0.05 equals 1. Divide by 0.05. We get y is equal to 20 dimes. Now, because you're asked for how many of each coin, you do have to substitute that 20 back into the original equation to solve for x. Again, I suggest using the first equation. It's going to be much easier when your coefficient is just 1. So x plus 20 equals 40. Subtract 20. X is equal to 20 nickels. Last thing you need to do is use the sentence. Okay, the sentence says Sarah has 20 nickels and 20 dimes in her pocket. Let's talk about one more example. You and your friend go shopping for gift wrap. You buy 3 rolls of wrapping paper and 5 bows for a total of $32. Your friend gets 1 roll of wrapping paper and 2 bows for $11. How much does each roll of wrapping paper and each bow cost? So that first thing in that vest, right, that V, is we want to define our variables. Well, what are we looking for? we're told wrapping paper is X and that bow is Y. Bows are Y. But notice we're looking for how much each costs. So our variables are going to be the cost of the wrapping paper and the cost of the bow for our X and our Y. Now let's talk E. Let's talk equations. So here, okay, our equations are going to look slightly different. Okay, how are we comparing things together? Well, what's being compared are costs, okay, in total, but it's how much it costs for you and how much it costs for your friend, because you both buy wrapping papers and bows. So your two equations, one has to be for you, one has to be for your friend. Okay, so you buy 3 rolls of wrapping paper and 5 bows for a total of $32. In this case, okay, X and Y represent costs. So just as we did last time, each piece of our equation has to represent how much it's going to buy for us to buy wrapping paper and how much for each bow and how much it costs in total. So we know it costs us $32 in total. So our equation is going to equal 32. Well, let's talk about the rolls of wrapping paper. Well, how many wrapping papers rolls do we buy? 3, and they each cost X amount of dollars. So your first piece of your equation is 3X. Same thing for your bows. It's 5 bows for Y dollars, so 3X plus 5Y equals 32. That represents the costs. Now you need to do it the same thing for your friend. Well, it costs your friend a total of $11. How many rolls of wrapping paper? 1 times how much it costs per roll, or X. So 1X plus how many bows your friend buys, 2 times how much it costs for each, Y. So X plus 2Y equals 11 is the equation for your friend. And then again, we can solve easily using elimination. In this case, I would multiply the bottom here by -3. Anytime one of your coefficients is 1, it's easiest to multiply that variable in that equation. Multiply the entire equation by -3. Add your equations together. Okay, the x's eliminate. 5y plus a -6y is -1. -1 divided by -1 is going to be y equals $1. Okay, so your bows are y, they cost $1. Now we substitute y and solve for x. Again, it doesn't matter which equation you'd use. I again would use this second equation, that your coefficients are smaller. It's going to be easier to deal with. X plus 2 equals 11, subtract 2, we get x equals 9. State a sentence. So each roll is going to cost you $9, right? And each bow is going to cost you $1. If you have any questions, make sure you reach out to me. Have a good day.